Historically, dialogues around environmental activism and the struggle for climate justice excludes most, if not all, narratives of the communities most impacted by environmental issues in the United States, which was known as Turtle Island before colonizers renamed it. History stretches much further back than the work of figures like John Muir and Teddy Roosevelt. It includes intricacies and nuances extending beyond whitewashed textbook narratives. The vibrant and resilient histories of historically oppressed BIPOC communities have been intentionally dulled and erased. Before colonizers made their way to Turtle Island, thriving indigenous communities coexisted with the land, flora, and fauna. Although indigenous cultures and beliefs are deeply intricate and varied across regions, there are many resonances between different tribal nations' land stewardship traditions. Before this land was colonized in the 16th century, people lived as nature rather than separate from nature, with the entitlement of dropping in on nature to hunt, build, or otherwise take from Mother Earth. An aligned relationship between people and the planet allowed communities to consciously tend to and be nourished by the environment, without the destruction or exploitation that we see so frequently today. During this time frame, we can observe reciprocity, which is rooted in the idea that as humans, we belong to the land, rather than owning it. This reciprocity manifested in many ways, namely compassionate land stewardship and giving back to the land for all that it gives to us.
This is what happened, this is 1854. The American Indian chief of Seattle replies to an offer from the white government of the United States to buy, within quotation, to buy a large area of Indian land. How can you buy or sell the sky, the warmth of the land? The idea is strange to us. If you do not own the freshness of the air and the sparkle of the water, how can you buy them? You don't own them. Every part of this earth is sacred to my people. Every shining pine needle, every sandy shore, every mist in the dark woods, every humming insect is holy in the memory and experience of my people. This beautiful earth is the mother of the red man. We are part of the earth and it is part of us. The rivers are our brothers. We give the rivers the kindness we would give to any brother. But the white man does not understand our ways. He is a stranger who takes from the land whatever he needs. The earth is not his brother but his enemy, and when he has conquered it, he moves on. He kidnaps the earth from his children and he does not care. I do not know. Our ways are different from your ways.
They have made a beginning, a brave beginning that can build a mighty structure for peace.
In the dignity and worth of the human rights of men.
1947 symbolized the rebirth of a nation after the slumber of centuries.
In sedate and sober strength, seeking no one's land.
In the Charter of the United Nations, to lift men everywhere to a higher standard of life and to a greater enjoyment of freedom.
Who owns the patent on this vaccine?
The people, I would say. There is no patent. Could you patent the sun?
armament and military military equipment sent to Cuba are designed exclusively for defensive purposes.
I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia,
Sergeant, go. Capcom, we're go for undocking.
It's one small step for man, giant leap for mankind.
Good evening. A unique day in American history is ending, a day set aside for a nationwide outpouring of mankind seeking its own survival. Earth Day, a day dedicated to enlisting all the citizens of a bountiful country in the common cause of saving life from the deadly byproducts of that bounty, the fouled skies, the filthy waters, the littered earth.
Stockholm, Sweden, June 12, 1972.
Global leaders came together in Sweden for the first ever United Nations Conference on the Human Environment. It was unlike any previous event, bringing together 113 governments to discuss humanity's impact on the natural world.
Mrs. Indira Gandhi, Prime Minister of India, arrived today to address the first United Nations Conference on the Human Environment. She was met by the Secretary General of the conference, Mr. Maurice Strong, who escorted Mrs. Gandhi to the rostrum.
It is clear that the environmental crisis which is confronting the world will profoundly alter the future destiny of our planet. No one amongst us, whatever our status, strength, or circumstance, can remain unaffected.
The human environment will always change. Development will continue. There will be growth. This cannot and should not be avoided. The decisive question is in which direction we will develop, by what means we will grow, which qualities we want to achieve, and what values we wish to guide our future.
I think the lasting message of the Stockholm Conference will be the realization that man has come to one of those seminal points in his history where his own activities are the principal determinants of his own future.
In the mid-1900s, there was a rise in mass movements and mobilizations for change, such as the Civil Rights Movement, Farm Workers' Rights Movement, and movements for equality, public housing, and public recreational spaces. These movements all overlapped with, and further the goals of, the environmental justice movement, which began to take shape in the 1980s.
From the 30s up until 1978, that 5 out of 5 of the city-owned landfills were in black neighborhoods. 6 out of 8 of the city-owned incinerators were in black neighborhoods, and 3 out of 4 of the privately owned landfills were in black neighborhoods, even though blacks only made up 25% of the population during that period of time. Environmental justice also means having access to decisions that are being made and making sure that it's access, and that no one segment of our city or county or region should be making decisions for other people.
Now, 50 years after that Stockholm meeting, we face a triple planetary crisis of climate change, pollution, and biodiversity loss, as well as other planetary ills that are affecting our current and future well-being.
This triple crisis is our number one existential threat, and we need an urgent, all-out effort to turn things around.
An unhealthy planet threatens human health, prosperity, equality, and peace, as we have seen only too clearly in COVID-19. It also threatens the achievement of SDGs. In this moment of truth, we need to urgently work to transform our economies and societies. The science is clear. The solutions are known. We need whole of society action for a whole of society problem. We know it can be done. The world came together to fix the ozone layer, phase out leaded fuel, and stop endangered species from going extinct. There is only one Earth, and the stakes have never been higher.